suggested reading list. It's not an exhaustive list, but a suggested reading list is over here. The books by Ernest Hemingway, two very famous books, The Old Man and the Sea and A Farewell to Arms. So they carry lots of lessons and books. They are written in a very plain and simple language. You will understand it. So you should definitely read this book. These days, this book has become very famous at number two. Written by Yuval Noah Harari. It is *Sapiens*. So the book *Sapiens* is about the history of humankind, how we evolved, what are things that shaped us. It's a very, very good book. Okay. If you want to read popular fiction, then you should switch to books by Salman Rushdie. One of the most famous books is *Midnight's Children*. Rather than reading popular fiction of Dan Brown or Chetan Bhagat, it is better that you improve improve the standard and you read popular fiction books by Salman Rushdie. If you don't know anything about philosophy, if you need an introduction to philosophy, then book number 4, Sophie's World by Joshton Carter is the book for you. Because in this book, the author is trying to teach a 14-year-old girl about philosophy. Sophie is a 14-year-old girl, and the author is trying to teach her what is philosophy. So I think you will understand everything. Philosophy is very, very important for you to read because it develops lots of interpretations, and you will understand lots of things which earlier you did not understand. So Sophie's World is kind of an introductory or an introduction to philosophy if you don't already read philosophy. Then two very famous books written by George Orwell. One is Animal Farm and the other one is 1984. Animal Farm, it's again, both these books, the language is very plain and simple, but both these books, they are metaphors. Okay, both these books are metaphors. Animal Farm is actually a satire on communism. We think that when everybody is equal, then everything will be all right. But that is not how actually a reality shapes. Okay, that is not how it works. So it is a satire on communism. So Animal Farm, again, a very easy book. 1984 is a dystopian novel. I hope you know what is the meaning of the word dystopian. It is a dystopian novel. It talks about a society which is kind of a vigilant state. Everywhere there are CCTVs, the government has all the information about you. In fact, many people say that today we are living in a dystopian society. Everything that is wrong is wrong. Everything that we think can be wrong is wrong in today's society. Governments control us. Big companies control us because they have all our information. So these two books are again very, very famous and they are eye openers. If you really want to develop patience, if you don't have patience while reading books, then if you want to develop your patience, then you should read the books by Dostoevsky, the very, very famous Russian author. One of the most, famous books written by him is Crime and Punishment. So it's about a young man who just out of thrill, just to see what happens, he murders an old lady. And after that, the thoughts that go inside, that, that evolves inside him, the guilt, this entire novel is about that guilt. So, but it's written in a very slow and slow way, very boring way. But the kind of description that Dostoevsky can provide, that is remarkable. So by the time you complete Crime and Punishment, you will be a new person. Okay, so you will never say that literature is boring. If you're looking for Indian authors, then Indian authors, you can read books by Pankaj Mishra. One of his most famous books is An End to Suffering. An End to Suffering is about the relevance of Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha walked this earth around 2200 years back. Okay, so are his teachings still relevant? That is what this book is all about. You can read books by Arundhati Roy. There are many books written by Arundhati Roy, but one of the most famous book is is a collection of essays. It is called The Algebra of Infinite Justice. These essays talk about the dam movement. They talk about the nuclear policy, Indian nuclear policy, all these things. So with statistics, with facts, she has used the government data, she has used government statistics, and she has showed you that whatever we think that when government builds dams, we will make a lot of progress, we will get a lot of water for irrigation, but that actually is not the case. So because the context is Indian, you will understand lots of things. Another suggestion, as far as Indian authors are concerned, is Gurcharan Das, a book written by him. It's a masterpiece on ethics and morality. This book is called The Difficulty of Being Good. Should we be good or should we be bad? Does it pay to be good? Why should we be good? So these are questions that he answers. And as a plot, as a context, he has taken Mahabharata. So, excuse me, he uses Mahabharata as the context. And with Mahabharata as the context, he tries to tell us what is the difficulty of being good? Should we be good or should we be bad? So these are very good books. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are very, very good books, which you should definitely read if you want to see remarkable improvement in your reading comprehension. Now, there is a publisher called Oxford University Press, OUP. Now, Oxford University Press, what they have done is that they have released short introductions on many subjects. In fact, there are so many, there are more than 500 titles. You name it and they have it. Now, these are short introductions. So let's say you want a short introduction on philosophy, they will have a book, a very short introduction on philosophy. If you want a short introduction on American history, they have a book called A Very Short Introduction of American History, a very short introduction of literary criticism, a very short introduction of art, sociology, psychology, everything. Okay, so you name it and they have it. But the problem is that these books, because they are short books, they are full of information and they are very difficult to understand. Not one single word. If you are reading these books, if you want to be familiar with different topics, you can read these books. But when you read these books, then you will not skip even one single word. Because in one sentence, these books tell you a lot. So if you are seriously considering reading these short introductions on different topics, then you'll have to brace yourself for spending a lot of time on one particular book. Don't rush. Even though one particular book will just be 50, 60 pages. But if it takes you two months to understand that book, then it's better that you read it slowly, steadily. You devote a lot of time. Don't rush. Otherwise, you will miss out. So these short introductions are very, very informative. In fact, they are used by many boards for material. There's one particular book. It's called Sociology, A Very Short Introduction. The author is Steve Bruce and publication is Oxford University Press. Now, this book, which is an introduction to sociology, it tells you what is sociology, all these kind of things it tells you. These are some books which are suggested. So you should definitely read because you'll see remarkable improvement. But again, don't rush. Why? Because these books are not going to be very easy. And these are not books for people who are not already in a reading habit. If you are absolutely new, if you are somebody who has not touched a book till now, then these books are not for you. Then you should start with popular fiction.